Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. I appreciate y'all for checking with me. You already know what it is. We back with another one of them things. Listen, you got the Colorado Buffaloes going through a tough situation. Things was looking pretty close, but somehow, someway, the UCLA Bruins put a hurting on them. Travis Hunter was electric today. We had an ejection. We got to get all into it. It was a lot of craziness going on. Shiloh Sanders, we got to break it all down. Coach Prime and the Buffaloes going through a rough ride against the Bruins. It's unfortunate that they find themselves in this situation, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Nobody believed in the Buffaloes anyway this season, but they find themselves 4-3, possibly going down once again, and the score is 9-28 with 3 minutes and 41 seconds. The Buffaloes look cooked. We got to break it on down. It's Flight Sports. Shout out Basil. Salute to everybody that rolled in the building and the chat. Peace and love to you all. Dex, Flight Sports. It's Flight Sports, man. What the hell is going on with the Colorado Buffaloes, man? We got breaking news.
Yes, sir. Salute to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in these streets. Yes, Flight. Unfortunately, this is part of the growing pains of first tenured coach in a Power 5 conference. And it happens to be one of the most competitive conference in the nation right now in NCAA FBS this year. So the Colorado Buffaloes, since entering Pac-12 conference play, is playing some bad and awful football. And in the last 5 games, they're going to be 1-4 after tonight. They got 4 minutes left before this one is over with. And if there's not a miracle in Pasadena, then the Colorado Buffaloes will be 4-4 on the season. And so they playing 500 football, but they still ahead of schedule, Flight. That's what a lot of people don't understand. It's just that since they had so much hysteria in their initial moments in FBS competition, it just seemed like the Colorado Buffaloes have fallen off the cliff. But contrary to popular belief, the Colorado Buffaloes are still ahead of schedule, despite after tonight, if no miracle happens in Pasadena at the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, they are still ahead of schedule playing 500 football in Pac-12 conference, Power 5 football, and Deion Sanders, first year head coach, and he basically put a team together out of the portal. It's basically like just picking from the sideline. You know, I got you. Let's go. And they're playing 500 football. So there's nothing depressing about Colorado. It's that a lot of people jumped on the hysteria train and they rode that prime popularity right into Boulder, and they're expecting the Colorado Buffaloes to be the Georgia Bulldogs overnight, and that's just not happening, Flight.
Listen, you brought up the Colorado Buffaloes being ahead of schedule. A lot of people are already trying to shit on them. You know, people have been waiting for this moment for a very long time. The Buffaloes, I believe, were only predicted to win only 3 games this season. Is that
Exactly.
correct? Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what I'm saying. And I believe that they might rattle off a couple more. But I mean that loss that they took a loss that their previous game that I know that hurt them. That's why you can't let games slip away, because I think the Buffaloes could have had a better record than they have now. They went wire to wire with UCLA.
I mean, USC. You mean USC?
USC, pardon me. So it's crazy that you mentioned, and I'm happy that you highlighted that. Do you think that the Buffalo? How do you see this thing ended? Do you think they can rattle off maybe 1 or 2 more, or maybe run it up? What you think?
Well, like I said, the way I'm seeing Colorado responding or not responding, depending on how you see the water in the glass. And like I said, they started off 3-0, and since the last 5 games, they only won 1 out of 4, and those games have been Pac-12 conference play. And the Pac-12 conference is like the number 1 conference in college football from top to bottom. And so it just happened that the chips fell that way. Now, I understand about that Stanford loss. I mean, that was devastating. But you can't worry about that. Those things happen in competition, in sporting events. Those things happens, bad beats. It happens in poker, Trust me, I had a few bad beats. Somebody chased me down to the river and beat my Rockets with our pair of aces, with a set 3 of a kind. So things happen. All you got to do is just show resilience, bounce back, learn off your mistakes, and then keep it pushing. And it doesn't get easier for Colorado. As I stated before, Flight, about what was that, 2 weeks ago, while they was on their bye after that devastating loss, and we gave commentary to what the Colorado Buffaloes will be looking ahead of them. UCLA is ranked number 23, top 25. Oregon State is coming in top 15. They rank number 11. So it doesn't get easy for Colorado. This is what they have to withstand. This is what they have to go through. Then after that, they play Arizona, they play Washington State, very winnable games, and then they come to play Utah, who is also currently ranked in the top 15 at number 13. So they're not in no cupcake conference, and they just have to respond appropriately and spawn immediately. So coming out of the chute, Colorado is looking very dandy. They drove down and scored on their first 2 possessions. Unfortunately, they were only field goals, not touchdowns, and they wasn't able to get all the way into the red zone. But they did drive the ball down the field, 62 yards. They drove the ball down the field, back-to-back possessions, and they did put numbers on the board, but it was 3 points apiece, and Colorado couldn't move the ball any further. I knew right then and there it's going to be a long day for Colorado, because they had the momentum. They were picking the UCLA defense apart, but they could not get it in the end zone. In football, you have to score touchdowns. You cannot win by field goals. It's rare that you can win a game by field goals, but you have to have a Baltimore Raven type defense. Outside of that, is doomsday if you're not getting that ball in the red zone and scoring 7 over 3. Like,
that's a magic key. Salute to all y'all in the chat. I see Scott in here talking trash. He seemed like he just, like I said, throwing the Buffaloes under the bus. Shout out Anthony Jefferson. Colorado got 3 turnovers from UCLA and didn't score off those turnovers. We highlighted one of those from Travis Hunter. Dex, what do you think about that? How they weren't able to score off turnovers, and Travis Hunter had a big night, especially early. What do you think about them defensively? And then also, we're going to get into something else that transpired as well that I pretty much was disgusted with. Go ahead.
Well, yes. Travis Hunter did make a really hell of a catch. They reviewed it, and the call was upheld. It was an interception. At the same time, like I said, when you get those kind of plays that turn the momentum of the game around, you have to get in the end zone. And let it be noted that the UCLA Bruins played their second and third tier quarterback because their starter is out. And that's Dante, who was a young kid, but he had UCLA rolling in the opening parts of the season where they were undefeated, and then of course they kind of ran against a Utah team, and that was that. But nevertheless, the UCLA is 5-2 and FBS football, ranked number 23. They 2-2 in conference, and looks like they will be 3-2 in conference after tonight's game. Shiloh Sanders just put the ball in the end zone, so it's 28-16. They're still down by a decent margin, 12, and I don't think there's enough time left for the Colorado Buffaloes to come back. But they made it look more respectable than it was. So Shador finally gets the ball in the end zone. Shador finally gets over the 200-yard threshold. Yet it's sad to see that Shador had to step back in the pocket 42 times and only connected on 27 of those, while the line just could not hold up. At one time, they was driving the ball. They had it 3rd and 8, and it was driving inside the UCLA Bruin territory. And then all of a sudden, Shador took a 12-yard sack and made it 4th and 20. And there's no way that Coach Prime is going to go for a 4th and 20 in a situation like that. So they just take one step forward, 2 step back. The running game is in 8, and Dalen Edwards is the leading rusher, and he has 4 carries for 12 yards. What you going to do with that, Flight? 12 carries for 4 yards.
Nothing.
So I mean, it just shows you that line is just very malnourished, and the defensive line is malnourished. So you just have a lot of woes on both sides of the ball when it comes to the trenches, and we know this already. So we've been regurgitating and reiterating all of this. So this is not anything new or glaring. It's just something that is Captain Obvious. And those things have to be sold up next season. There's not enough time in this season to fix all those gaping holes. They will have to do that next season when he get in his recruits that he personally chooses, because he have all off season to address those malnourished areas for the Colorado Buffaloes.
You speak about the malnourished areas. What would be your first order of business?
Definitely, you have to have protection on your best player that's going to be there, Travis Hunter and Shiloh Sanders, 1A, 1B. So that means you're going to have to give Travis Hunter enough time to run his routes, and Shiloh Sanders enough time to pick the defense off. And so you will have to get that offensive line in order. The defensive line is a priority too, but I think the offensive line is more of a priority because you can win the game with Shiloh and Travis on one side of the ball. But if you can get both of those areas paid great attention to, then that would be all the while better. But if you was have to pick or choose one of the other, I would take the offensive line over the defensive line.
Right. I feel you on that point. I want to talk about Shiloh. He got ejected for targeting. What was your thought on that play? Do you think that was valid? I think that was pretty critical. Let me know your thoughts.
Well, according to the rules, like you can't have helmet-to-helmet contact. And by Shiloh coming in with so much force, it made it appear that if he was targeting, but he led with his shoulder, which is legal. But when that helmet came up and hit the other player helmet, that's what got that play under review. And according to the rules, hitting like that, whether it's intentional or unintentional, it's targeting when there's a bang bang in the head area above the shoulders. So according to the rule, that's what it is. But it's not his fault because he's running full speed. He's trying to make a play, which he did make the play, calls a stop on third down. So it was going to be a change of down coming towards the end of the first half. And all of a sudden he gets ejected for being aggressive. So basically he was punished for his aggression. But according to the rules, you cannot have that bang bang from the neck up because they're trying to protect these young men so they can go forward and make careers out of their activities.
Do you think that changed the course of the play?
Yes. Yes, of course, because they scored a touchdown. They went down and scored a touchdown. It would have been a turnover on downs. They would have punted, and then Colorado would have had the ball towards the end of the first half, and it flipped. It went from 7-6 to 14-7. And so that is dejecting in itself and is defeating. And sometimes these young men don't bounce back fast enough to forget or erase out their memory of play where they lose in one of their good leaders and outstanding defensive players. And they already anemic on defense anyway. So losing a soul like Shiloh Sanders is deafening to a team that's already somewhat depleted defensively.
Yeah, they got to get that shit situated defensively, man. Because I could have sworn I thought they was going to win. Before this game, what did you think the outcome was going to be?
Well, I didn't think Colorado was going to beat UCLA, not in Pasadena. Maybe in Boulder they had a better chance, but in Pasadena, UCLA is a pretty good team at home. And, you know, they have a very experienced coach. This coach been a professional coach. He coached the Philadelphia Eagles, for crying out loud. He coached Mike Vick and Deshaun Watson on the same team. So Chip Kelly has been around a long time. This is the same coach that had a runner-up in the Heisman, and he had a Heisman Trophy winner in Marcus Mariota. So he is very familiar with the college landscape, how to win games, how to position his team, and how to outthink and maneuver his opposition. So he's been on both sides of the coin flight for Chip Kelly, professional head coach, as well as college head coach in different locations.
So were you impressed with his job tonight, Chip Kelly?
Well, yes. You know why I'm more impressed with Chip Kelly, what he did tonight over the Colorado Buffaloes losing, because he done this with his second and third string quarterback. His starting quarterback is out. And they had a nice run game. So the total package for the UCLA Bruins, they kind of balanced everything out as far as their offensive attack. It was nothing real special about it. I mean, Ethan Garber, he's not even a starter. He was supposed to be a starter and lost his job, and then they gave it to the young Dante to have that position. But then Ethan comes back and play a game against Colorado where he was pretty efficient. 27 for 20, only have 7 drops, 269 yards, really good. Average 10 yards per play, 2 touchdowns, and that 1 interception to Travis Hunter. And then Colin Shelley, he didn't really do anything. He had an interception, but he done something with his legs. So that dual quarterback combination represented a dual threat as a unit, with Ethan passing the ball and Colin running the ball, because he's very nifty with his legs. And so since they didn't have their number one quarterback who does that by himself, pass and run, a dual threat, he done it with 2 quarterbacks. And so he still got the same results with 2 different players. And the Colorado Bruins take this 28-16.
So what's next for Colorado? Do you think they're going to be able to shake it off in the next game, or do you see another loss on the column?
Well, yeah, it's going to be tough. You really can't say, like you say, any given Saturday, right? Is any given Saturday. So even though they have to play another top 15 team in Oregon State, and Oregon State is playing hard for respectability, they were the one who gave Utah their first loss. So Oregon State, the Beavers, they're going to, up down there in Corvallis, that's a tough, difficult place to play. It's just like up in Eugene, all those Oregon teams are very tough at home. And but for the Colorado Buffaloes, this game will be inside their silo up there in Boulder, Colorado. So they have a great opportunity to steal a win from a top 15 team.
What about the player Shiloh Sanders tonight? How will you evaluate his play? He threw for 197 yards and a touchdown, and obviously Ethan Garbers, he threw for 306 yards and 2 touchdowns. How would you evaluate Shador's play today?
Well, I think Shador is over 200 yards today, like I said earlier, but he dropped back 43 times and connected on 27 of those 43. So, that he had probably a quarterback rating of probably 60. I don't know if that's really good for him, because he's looked upon as one of the stars in the Pac-12 conference, while Ethan Garber, who was that, right? They was looking forward for Shador to play against Dante. That's was the matchup that everybody was looking for. But unfortunately, Dante wasn't able to suit up and get out there on the field to match strides with Shiloh Sanders. But 217 yards is very pedestrian for Shiloh Sanders. And it was, in his average 5 yards per play is underwhelming and subpar. 1 touchdown. So that is almost a stat line of a quarterback that's not supposed to be a star. Because when you look across the aisle at Ethan Gerber, he had 269 yards and he averaged 10 yards per play with 2 touchdowns, albeit he did get an interception. He did turn the ball over, but he was very efficient, 20 for 27, only 7 drop balls. So that's excellent for him to be in a game of this nature, which was high profile, and a needed win for the UCLA Bruins to stay relevant in the Pac-12 South. It came out with the victory, and this is why I'm more impressed with Chip Kelly and what he did with his backup quarterbacks, more so than the Colorado Buffaloes falling to 4-4, playing 500 football, even though they are ahead of schedule.
Yes, absolutely, man. Like I said, the Buffaloes, I really would have loved for them to win this game. It just sucks. I feel like they left 2 games on the table. But like you said, UCLA was going to be tough anyway. But there was a point in the game where it was pretty close. It could have went either way. But like you said, once they let go of Shiloh, that changed the course of the game. They went and scored a touchdown. They never looked back. They definitely got to protect Shiloh Sanders. Do you think that Shiloh needs to do a little bit more with his legs? I mean, that's what a lot of people criticize him for. What do you think about that?
Well, it's not that Shador's not doing enough with his legs. It's the play calling to prevent him from doing the things he needs to do for his legs. And that is one of the most interesting things coming from Coach Lewis, I believe that is, the offensive coordinator. It's just really perplexing to see that he does not allow Shador to get more outside so he can survey the field a little better on a rollout and have the defense chase him from a distance and not from a 3, 4, 5-step drop. You follow what I'm saying? Because the line is not holding up for him to take 5 or 7 step drops and scour the field to look for his reads, and if the first read's not open, go to the second and check down to the third or whatever. He doesn't have time to really process the development of the play based on the skimmish of his line. I mean, there's no beef, pause, to hold back the floodgates from the defensive line. It's just that it's like a dam on this guy, right? Soon as he dropped back the pass, it's just like the dam just cave in on itself. And it's very difficult for him to process any kind of plays developing when he is running for his life practically every down. That's the thing that is so disturbing watching Shiloh Sanders and the play calling coming from the sideline. Now, I don't know if he's checking out of plays and calling his own audibles. I'm not sure about that because I haven't really heard or read anything to that nature. But I just believe Coach Lewis have to roll him out, maybe do some POs, and allow Shador to read off of that. But when you look at it, though, Flight, to be honest, I mean, we already know the offensive line is a telltale sign. And it's god awful, to be honest. Look at their run game. They use 5 different running backs, including Shador as a rusher. And they had 24 carries. In 24 carries, they only mustered 38 yards, averaging 1.6 yards per carry. The longest run was for 13 yards, and that was by Shiloh Sanders. So what is going on there with the blocking scheme, with the run scheme? If I'm Coach Prime, if my line is like what it is, so skimmish and malnourished, then I'm going to have to adapt the old San Francisco 49ers blocking scheme, where the San Francisco 49ers, not this version, but the Walsh version and the Mariucci version of the 49ers, where they did a lot of chip blocking and they just got in the way of defenders and allow the running backs to make the decisions on what hole they want to run through. It wasn't so much design, you go to the 2 hole, you go to the 4 hole, or you go to the 6 hole, or you go to the 3 hole, or the 5 hole, or the 7. You know what I'm saying? It was read. You read off the block to wherever there's a gap. When you see it, wherever you see daylight, that's where you run. And I think Dalen Edwards will be more of a prolific back I think Wilkerson will be more of a prolific back. I think Alton McCaskill would be more of a prolific back if you have that type of offensive blocking scheme like the 49ers of old, because that was one of the most ingenuity blocking scheme of all times, besides the Washington Redskins with the counter trade and everything to that nature with Riggins and company. But outside of that, the San Francisco 49ers had a hell of a blocking scheme. Now, the reason why I don't mention the Dallas Cowboys, the reason why I don't mention the old Houston Oilers is because they had girth on their offensive line. The Colorado Buffaloes do not have that, so they have to design certain blocking schemes that is predicated on a lot of trickery in order for these scat backs to get out in the open field and do their thing. But running these backs up the 2-hole, up the 4-hole, it's off tackle. It's going to be very difficult because the holes are not opening up for them to slither through and to get into the second tier of the defense where they're getting tackled by defensive backs and possible safeties. These running backs are getting tackled by defensive linemen and linebackers. So that's a lot of poundage on these running backs. And sometimes these youngsters don't want that. They might not be built like that to take the pounding, because they want to be, little fast runners and get outside and take it to the house and hit pay dirt. But if they're not able to do that with the type of line they have, and watching Shiloh Sanders going backwards so more than he's going forward, then they have to come up with a new type of blocking scheme in order for the Colorado as a offensive unit be more productive.
Yeah, clearly it seems like what you echo in your statements is this offensive line has just been a pure utter debacle, and that's one of the things that needs addressment. What do you think about the people who are trying to make it seem like the hype of the Buffaloes have basically disintegrated? The people are really harping on that because we got to understand the Buffaloes came in, they were just high on their high horse. They took over the national media. I still think they are dominating the national sports media. What do you think about the way it started to where it's at now? Because they was red hot. It seemed like they took a couple of L's, some that they had no business losing. And now the outlook on the Buffaloes is not the same as it was when the season opened. What do you think about the way and the vibe is around the Buffaloes right about now?
Well, listen, the vibe is what it is, right? I mean, if you're a real football fan and you like to watch college football, then you understand that Colorado is ahead of schedule, regardless of their win and loss record at the moment. They are definitely ahead of schedule. And they have already got you paid if you bet over the win total, for the season. You already paid. And if you put a lot of money down, you paid a lot of money. You understand what I'm saying? So they already had a schedule if you bet on the Colorado Buffaloes to win over the 3-game mark or 2.5 game mark that the professional odd makers had for the Buffaloes. So you cannot be a loser. Now, yes, they're playing 500 football, but you know how many teams in the nation that's under 500? So the Colorado celebrity, yes, it has dissipated. The Colorado hysteria, yes, it has dissipated, but it hasn't disintegrated. It just has dissipated. And that's all normal because you're going to have your wins, you're going to have your losses, and then people move on to the next thing that's trending. Colorado Buffaloes might not be trending to the casual, but to those who pay attention to college football, the eyes are still descending wherever Colorado is being displayed. I'm talking about the Buffaloes, the Colorado Buffalo football team, not basketball, but Buffalo football team. Eyes are descending to wherever they're displaying their demonstration. So the casuals, yes, they're gonna go and get into other trends and find other things to do because the name is not registering as a winner, and everybody wants to be a part of a winner, right? Those are called bandwagoners. But Flight, did you know that this game was not supposed to be on national TV? It was not scheduled. UCLA versus Colorado was not scheduled for national TV. The national TV game was Washington versus Stanford. They removed that game and put that on Fox Regional and put the UCLA Colorado Buffaloes on national TV ABC network. So that in itself tells you it's really not about the record because they already exceeded expectations. Do you know their next game, despite them losing tonight, will be nationally syndicated on ESPN up in Boulder, Colorado? So you got a team that these naysayers, disbelievers, and doubters trying to come down on Colorado based on their record, but yet the people that's pushing out the money want Colorado over a lot of these other so-called top-tier teams in the FBS. So to me, you know me, I follow where the money is. The bullshit, you can have that. You can keep the bullshit. Just show me where the money is. The hate, the fear, you can keep all that. This show me where I can celebrate and be happy. And when you see the Colorado Buffaloes being displayed, you want to look. You can't help but to look. And the reason why you're watching is because of Coach Prime. You're not watching Colorado because of Colorado, because who cared about Colorado last season? You're watching Colorado for Coach Prime. You're watching Colorado to see Travis Hunter, Shiloh Sanders, Shiloh Sanders. And then you start to notice they got Xavier Weaver, another good player. They got Jimmy Horn Jr., another good player, et cetera, et cetera. You know, what about the breakout season Michael Harrison is having, the tight end? I think he should be used more often. I think he should be targeted more often because he have shown throughout the years that he can get the job done and he can close the deal. So the offensive coordinator just have to, Coach Lewis just have to just be more inventive, more innovative, because you got a lot of talent on Colorado. They just got to be more. Look at Antonio; he's out there catching passes and making yards. So I mean, you know, to me, it's not a conundrum. To me, it's understood. We saw Omarion Miller a few games ago catch over 200 yards passing. So there is a wealth of talent. The resource is unlimited when it comes to talent for the Colorado Buffaloes. They just have to be coached that way. And for some reason, perplexing, I may add, they are not being coached according to their talent. And I know that have to be frustrating for Deion. I mean, this would infuriate a coach when he knows talent, he knows what it can do, but somehow the X's and O's are not computing correctly. And this is infuriating for a coach with an acumen for football and a high IQ for the overall X's and O's. keep in mind, Coach Prime plays both sides of the ball, right? Well, played. Let me put it in perfect pretense. Coach Prime played both sides of the ball, so he is familiar with how the quarterback should mesh with the receiver. He's familiar on the other side of the football how the defense supposed to respond to the offense and how cornerbacks or defensive backs or whatever label they give them now, defensive backs, cornerbacks, secondary, whatever they label them now, respond defensively. And this is why he gets upset. But Coach Prime is a unique individual that he can have patience, even though that he had displayed greatness during his tenure on the Tundra. He can show patience towards these young men as they develop into high-class athletes. And he's not only coaching them on the field, he is mentoring them off the field as well. So it's a combination of both. So that's why he don't get too high, too upset, and too emotionally invested in what goes on the field, because the bigger job is what they do off the field, Flight.
What was the last print you said, Dex?
I said the biggest job that Coach Prime have is what his players do off the field, not so much what they do on the field. Because on the field can speak for itself. Off the field is where you make these type of lifelong and altering decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Don't you think Coach Prime got the off the field shit on lock too as well? I mean, them kids know not to fool around with him. They'll be out.
Well, this is the first year. This is the first year for Coach Prime. You can't really give him that credit until he's 3 or 4 years in his tenure, and there's no controversies off the field with some of these players, because it's difficult now. It's difficult to handle this many young men and keep them in check when their testosterones are just popping all over the place, and the puberty of these young men is just in full swing. So that's a difficult task to keep them under ropes and encapsulated where that they are protected by a hedge of fire.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. Let's get into Travis Hunter. What did you think about him tonight? How would you evaluate his play?
Well, I appreciate what Travis Hunter has brought to the Colorado Buffaloes. You know, he's still kind of playing his way back into shape. He's not all the way there yet, and you had receivers that had 100 yards today. Well, Logan Loya had 100 yards today on 7 catches, averaging 16 yards per catch, and his longest was 49 yards. So I don't know if that was all Travis or some Travis or whatever, but Ethan Garber, you know, he hit I think probably 10 different receivers, and he had 20 completions. So I know Travis didn't guard all 10 receivers. So whatever portion that Travis did, I don't think it cost Colorado. Because he did play both sides of the ball. He wasn't really impactful on the offensive side, even though he had 3 receptions. But you know, they didn't go for any distance. I think his longest reception was 4 yards. But I just think that Travis Hunter had 2 interceptions, so he affected one side of the ball big time. And his presence alone instilled fear in the opposition. But like I said, he's still in rehab, even though he's playing. And I'm quite sure they're watching him under a microscope to make sure he doesn't have any unnecessary grimacing, which indicates there's some pain that he might be trying to hide.
Do you think that Shador was running for his life tonight? Is that
Most definitely, most definitely, Flight. He was running like a runaway slave, and it was just a total jailbreak every time that he said hut one, hut two, hike. When he said hike, it was an all-out jailbreak. And this guy is looking up like, oh my God, the dam done crashed. The dam done caved in. And like I said, you cannot process the field and the development of the play as it unfurls if you constantly running for your life, dodging, having to take your head out of the direction that the ball is designed to go, because you're trying to stave off ferocious defenders. And that is a difficult thing. But there is a positive. There is good in what appeared to look bad. In the midst of all that offensive chaos, Shiloh Sanders is learning how to escape pressure. And he's learning how to not cave in to every second of enclosure. And that's what I appreciate, because you see him scrambling. You see him trying to move, and then he got to go down, but he's not turning the ball over. So there's an old saying, Flight. He who runs today live to fight another day. Or he who runs away live to fight another day. I think that's how it goes. I think that's the aphorism of that ancient adage. I know it sounds cowardice in nature, but it's true. He who runs a day live to fight another day. And so that's what Shiloh Sanders is learning. He's not panicking. He's not flustered where he's throwing the ball away. I mean, not throwing the ball away, throwing the ball to the opposition and causing more harm to his team, instead of just go ahead, take the sack, or go ahead, take the loss, and with the talent that they have, hopefully Coach Lewis can call a play where they can inch by inch back into a successful situation. And that is a thing that the professional level is looking at, that he's not a turnover machine. And he will eat the ball if necessary. He won't just get a ball to the opposition because he's afraid of the impact or the collision coming from these girthy young men who is starving to put Shiloh Sanders on that tundra. You know, they want to bury him just to say, I sacked Shiloh Sanders. You know, just to have that a part of their conversation that they can tell their grandchildren one day. Do you know I sacked Shiloh Sanders when I was a young man playing college football? You know, they want to have that on a verbal resume.
Yeah, I mean, Shador is a problem, man. He gonna put a lot of people on his resume as well. We all know these guys are looking to gain a little something off of the Sanders family. I think they're gonna be okay. Coach Prime, you think Coach Prime is gonna be disgusted during his press conference? How would you say he's gonna evaluate this one?
Well, I know he's not going to be smiling because there's nothing to smile at. And like I said, it's not about consolatory prizes or moral victories. It's not even about that. Colorado is ahead of schedule. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. But I already know for the knuckleheads that, you know, they don't want to hear that because they hate mongers. You know, they just want to create an atmosphere of hate. So Coach Prime realizes this. and he gotta receive it, because when things are different, Coach Prime can be very boastful. So now it's not as pretty in the prairie that he might want it to be, but yet can't emphasize it enough. It's not an escapism and it's not an excuse, but they are ahead of schedule. That's what everyone should focus on. He came to a Power 5 conference, and the Pac-12 conference to be exact, which is the toughest conference in FBS right now. Look at all the teams that are ranked in the top 25 from the Pac-12 conference, and they're beating up on each other. They're actually crashing each other right now as we speak. So that gauntlet of a conference, the Colorado Buffalo just going to have to eat grass. And that's what bullshit is. Nothing but chewed up grass. So they're going to have to eat it and crap it out. And you know what? When they crap it out, it becomes fertilizer. You know what fertilizer do? Regrow the grass. So there's always a cycle of good if you're able to extrapolate it from the mess. You feel me?
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, do you think it'd be smart to point fingers, or is something seriously wrong where they need to get things added on the off season?
Well, the tape will indicate if there needs to be blame, finger pointing. But you got to always remember, when you point a finger, right, you got your index finger out and you got your thumb up, but there's 3 more fingers, and guess where they're pointing? They're pointing right back at you. So if you're going to point your finger, just keep in mind that the finger that you pointing towards, you got 3 pointing back at you. So you 3 times as guilty as pointing your finger towards someone else. So you got to make sure that you 3 times better, or you're going to be 3 times guilty. Either or, it's going to be 3 times. So be careful how and where you point your fingers. It better be justified, or else it's 3 times worse on you. So there's no need to actual point fingers, because the video doesn't lie. When they go and examine that video and they start to sparse out and separate different aspects of the field and break down the 3 levels of defense, the line, the linebackers in the secondary, and they're going to see who did what and who didn't do what they were supposed to do. And when you look at the Colorado Buffaloes defensive front, those guys are so malnourished, Flight. The UCLA Bruins rushed the ball 45 times to Colorado 24 times. So the UCLA Bruins damn near rushed the ball double what Colorado did, plus 21 times. And that Buffalo defense yielded 218 freaking yards, for crying out loud. TJ Harden has 78, Carson Steele 75, Ethan Garber, the quarterback, at 37, and the backup quarterback behind him had 26. And they averaged 4.8, which is what you want to do. You want to average 4 yards a carry, and they did that. They nearly averaged 5 yards a carry. If it probably wasn't for them just kind of like taking the foot off the pedal, they probably would average more. And out of that 218 yards and averaging nearly 5 yards per carry, they scored 2 touchdowns. And the longest of the runs was by TJ Harden, which was 23. He had a 23-yard run, 20 carries. So TJ Harden was a workhorse tonight. And when something is working, why alter it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Isn't that the aphorism that we love to use. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I love that adage. And it makes sense. So the off mentioned colloquialism, the defense was a no show. Once again, for the Colorado Buffaloes. Because you already know that teams are coming to run against you. So you should have a mindset that you want to beat your guy mano on mano. You want to be able to be so much of a force that they have to double team you. And if they double team you, you might not be the results, but that leaves it open for other players. So you are impactful if you can command a double team. But I don't see anyone on that defensive front commands a double team. And when that is the case, Flight, it's curtains. Because now they're able to block you one-on-one. So there's no advantage for the defense. And then not on top of that, when it comes to pass rush, if you're not putting pressure on the quarterback, if you're not knocking that quarterback flat on his tush, you're giving him all day to throw the ball. The average defensive back or the secondary, let's just say secondary, can only hold for 4 seconds or less. That's the average. Now, the above average can hold for 5 to 6 seconds. That's about it. So if this quarterback has 5 to 6 seconds to throw the ball, to look all over the field to find a receiver, then it doesn't matter if you have a Travis Hunter. It doesn't matter if you have Shiloh Sanders. It doesn't matter if you have Trevor Woods. What can you do if you got little receivers that are nifty and fast, swift and quick, running for 5 to 7 seconds? It's difficult. And it just be a mess out there, and it just look like scrambled eggs. And that is what the defense is facing based on the lack of a pass rush, the lack of putting pressure on the quarterback. You're not even instilling fear in the quarterback where he can lose his timing. Because, quarterbacks and receivers, that combination is based on timing. And if you can't throw a quarterback off his timing, you're in trouble. Because these quarterbacks can wing that ball. They can spin that pigskin. And if you're not getting them off their timing mechanism that ticks in their head, they're gonna slice and dice you all day. And that's what UCLA did. They just made them bleed to death by paper cuts. They didn't do nothing extraordinary. They had that one long pass for 49 yards, but outside of that, wasn't really nothing extraordinary. They just paper cut him to death. And then you start to wear down and get frustrated and lose your focus, and you get away from your assignments. And the next thing you know, they doing these little cross patterns, and you're not home, you're not disciplined, and these guys are running for 15 to 27 yards on a freaking 6-yard crossing pattern, which is despicable. So that defense have to, they have to make up their mind if they really want to push it to the next level, because that is really what's holding Colorado back, that defense. Because when you look at the score, 28, even though it's a low number, but when you watch the game, you know that UCLA never was in fear of of losing this one. Even when it was 7-6, Colorado drove the ball down consecutive times and got on the board. But they only got on the board with threes. You're not going to win in the Pac-12 kicking field goals. That's because nobody has an outstanding defense outside of Utah. So you got to score touchdowns. You got to hit pay dirt. Field goals ain't going to cut it. No moral victories. No consolatory prizes. You got to get in that end zone, man. Because that would have changed the game. If they went down and scored touchdowns, it would have been 14-0. And with these backup quarterbacks, they probably would have been shaken. But since they only scored threes and it was 6-0, all they needed to get in the end zone, and that wipes away all of that. And that's what happened. Ethan got him in the end zone, and it was 7-6. And then that atrocity happened with Shiloh Sanders, and it was just defeating towards the defense, losing one of their dogs and leaders out there that's going to sacrifice his body and fight inertia to make things happen. Flight.
Do you think Colorado gonna make a bowl game?
It's not that I think they're going to make a bowl game. It's rather I believe they're going to make a bowl game. And I think all they have to do is win one more game. If they can get a 5-win season, someone's going to put them in a bowl game. I don't care who it is. Somebody's going to put them in a bowl game and the type of extravaganza that will be. Colorado make a bowl game. What Coach Prime going to do in a bowl game? And it doesn't have to be one of the elite bowls. Whatever bowl they go to, it's going to be a financial banger.
It's almost like they can't leave him out.
No, you can't leave them out. That's why they want Colorado to win one more game. If they can get 5 games, normally 6 games, you guarantee a bowl. But if you can get 5 and another team might be at 6, they're going to look at it like, okay, if we get Colorado, even though they have a 5-win team, and this team over here is maybe a 6 or 7-win team, they're not going to galvanize people, and they're not going to have eyes descending on this bowl. So let's go get Colorado, and let's make history by putting Coach Prime in a bowl game in his first season. Let us be that committee to petition for Prime to come to our stadium and make history, as Coach Prime will be a Power 5 first-time coach in a bowl game who is a Hall of Fame athlete. Who wouldn't want that as a backstory? And he's bringing stars with him. He's bringing Travis Hunter. He's bringing Shiloh Sanders. He's bringing Shiloh. He's bringing Xavier Weaver, one of the top receivers in the whole FBS. Don't forget that. Don't forget Xavier Weaver. He put numbers on the board for real. So who wouldn't want that? And then Colorado will have an opportunity to even win that bowl game because the team that they probably play is probably not a high caliber team. So they have a grand opportunity and for sure fashion to come out first win for Coach Prime in a bowl game. And the name of that bowl game will have the ties to that history. You know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be attached to that and then reap all of the finances from it? And that game, wherever Colorado go, that game is going to be on a high-profile network. That's going to be automatic. And that high-profile network is going to help petition and co-sign for Colorado to get there because the numbers backs him up. Flight.
No, good point. Good point. I'm over here surveying the chat. People are real, not so excited about Coach Prime. Deion Sanders. I see Ken Wood says Deion is full. Oh, where the bark at? At this rate, Colorado will not be bowl eligible. We just discussed that. Sure, it would be interesting, but that doesn't mean you belong now. Um, I mean, like I said, he is right though. I mean, you do gotta have Colorado in there, especially if they do meet the requirements. I mean, the star
Okay,
was just immense. That would just
let's
be
check it out, Flight. Let's check it out.
What is that?
Colorado has 4 games left, right?
Right.
And out of these 4 games, Flight, 2 are top 15 teams. 2 are not. So if the Buffs go 2-2, if they play 500 football from this point out, they will have 6 wins. And if they happen to beat one of these top 15 teams within that 2 wins, you don't think they're going to be invited to a bowl? You don't think people will be nabbing at the Colorado Buffaloes to come play here, to come play there? Of course they will. Now, even if they lose to Oregon State, top 15 team, or their final game against Utah up in what's that, Ogden? I think Utah's in Ogden, right? I think they're playing Ogden, Utah. Even if they lose those 2 games and they beat Arizona and they beat Washington State, it will still be the same record, and they still have one significant win, and that was TCU. Even if they don't beat another top 25 team, Colorado is definitely going to a bowl game because the bankers say so. The money merchants say so. But they have to at least go 500 from this point out to be, officially bowl eligible. But if they win one more game, they can be invited to a bowl, but they won't guarantee a bowl. 6 wins guarantee you a bowl. 5 wins, you got to just be an exception to the rule.
They're gonna definitely get to a bowl game. Like I said, they're gonna be all right. They're gonna be eligible. If anybody that's concerned, everybody just hold your horses and just relax. The Buffaloes, like I said, this was a devastating loss, 16-28 in Pasadena, California. Definitely a nasty loss, man. It's crazy. I repeat, Shiloh got ejected for the people that's unfamiliar. We covered Shiloh Sanders running for his life. I mean, obviously that needs to be one of the first rules of order in terms of fixing because it's completely devastating. Some people are already calling for Sean Lewis to be fired. It's like I said, things got to change. Nobody's foreseen all of these debacles in the beginning of the season, but now we have, just went to a different path now. I think the Buffaloes need to just restart their season mentally, just go on from here on out. Don't worry about expectations and all of this, that, and the third. They just got to get a victory at this point because it seems like now loss after loss after loss, losses are stockpiling. And like I said, I go back to that previous game where the Buffaloes was, in my opinion, in prime position to win it, but somehow lost it. You can't, and that was the Stanford game in overtime. You don't get these games back. And now you're going against Oregon State, ranked number 11. That's going to be very tough to win. And then you got Arizona, Washington State, then Utah. It's like I said, I believe that they will win another one, but it's very possible that they could mess around and lose for the rest of the season. And I want to hope that's not the case. But I had high hopes for the Colorado Buffaloes, but it seems like things are changing right about now. They got to get right. In the second quarter, they scored absolutely nothing. Like I said, that's not good. And UCLA has improved to 6-2. The Bruins were ranked number 23 before we came into this evening. And like I said, they laid the smackdown on the Colorado Buffaloes. Their defense was just elite. today. The pressure was on. Colorado's offensive line is just downright abysmal. 24 pressures, 17 hits, 13 knockdowns, 7 sacks. Despite all that pressure, Sanders still managed to complete 27 of 43 passes for 217 yards and a touchdown. So anybody that's discrediting all of the things that he had to go up against, just think about all the things that he did. And anybody that's trying to discredit anything that he did, look at what he had to go through to get it. So I'm not making no excuses for him, but despite the losses, I still believe that Shador is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Dex, despite the losses, do you think that Shador is still one of the best quarterbacks in the country?
Well, yes. He has already demonstrated that. Right now, he is currently sitting at 2,400 passing yards, and still have 4 more games left. And if he can average maybe 300 yards per game in these last 4 games, that'll give him an additional 1,200 yards, and he'll be at 3,600 passing yards, which is excellent, especially for coming from a team for Colorado. I mean, 4,000 will be gravy, but 3,600 would be spectacular in itself. And then you got, Xavier Weaver. He's looking to be 1,000-yard receiver. He's less than 400 yards to be 1,000-yard receiver. So if he can average about 80 something yards per game for the rest of the season, he will be 1,000-yard receiver. So you have a 3,600-yard quarterback and 1,000-yard receiver. That in itself is a nice little combination package. And then you have Shiloh Sanders on the defensive end with 36 tackles. And if he can average 5 more tackles per game, that's an additional 20 tackles he will have to close out the season with 56 tackles. And that's also good as well. So those type of numbers, you can basically argue your way into a bowl game, because those are the type of numbers people want to see play in these bowl games, where you have someone on the defensive side that you can recognize outside of Travis Hunter, and you can have someone on the offensive side you can recognize besides Shador Sanders. And that right there can be a compelling argument to get into a bowl game, even if they fall short of 6 wins. But they have to get 1 more win. 5 wins is it's tough. Like I say, it's an exception to the rule. But 6 wins, you should basically be able to hold down a bowl game, because someone will definitely invite you to one. And you might get lucky and get to a nice mid bowl game instead of some little shallow bowl game with the Colorado Buffaloes, because they're going to be nipping at the Colorado Buffaloes' heels to get them to come in their direction. And you can best believe that, Flight.
Yeah, most definitely. You better believe it. Shout out to MKC Fishing. It says they will be the best show eligible nominated. Losing, it says that why not adjust the offensive scheme to protect the quarterback? The first point of order should be find the coach. I think that's what we discussing here. All about the protection of Shador. We all know that's a problem that's plaguing this team. It seems like they're not going to be able to do what they originally wanted to do. Hopefully that Deion Sanders get this thing rectified. We already almost at the tail end, so we'll have to be done during the offseason. We don't know if Shador is going to be the quarterback next year, if he's going to go to the NFL. Do you think that he's going to go to the NFL, or you think it's too early?
No. Yeah, forget that. I think Deion already nipped that in the bud as the father, and also as the coach. He's not going to send them off just yet, because you still have Caleb Williams, you still have Drake May, and I don't know if Michael Penix Jr. is going to come out this year. So it's best that he stay back, and that way he'll be the number 1 quarterback listed on the quarterback ranking list. So, and then he had 1 year experience playing in a Power 5 conference. So I think I think it will behoove Sador to stay 1 more year and get that up under his belt. So maybe he could be a little more comfortable next year because they will have players that Deion will be handpicking and not just coming out of the portal just to fill roster slots and things of that nature, because he just wanted to hurry up and get rid of that garbage that was there. And I don't mean to call these young men garbage, but I'm just saying as far as a 1-11 team, that's god awful. So he wanted to get those mindsets out of there and put some new souls in there who was hungry and thirsty to win and wouldn't feel privileged or entitled because of their, seniority being in a Colorado Buffalo uniform, playing in Folsom Field.
Yeah, do you think this game would have turned out different in Folsom Field?
I think they would have had a better chance, especially with those backup quarterbacks. QB2 and QB3 probably wouldn't feel at ease by them being at home if they was on the road in a hostile environment like Folsom Field.
Yeah, like I said, Colorado, they play pretty tough over there. It's definitely upsetting that their season is getting all pretty rocky. I know that people are going to use this time to really lay it on the Colorado Buffaloes. Because like I said,
you can't. I mean, any insentient being with a brain that moves forward instead of backwards. Any insentient being with a brain that moves forward cannot frown at what Colorado has demonstrated so far. Now, the only people that feel this way is those people who really don't know football or college football, and they just got on the Deion Sanders hype train, whether they was pro Deion or anti Deion. It doesn't matter. They just was a part of the hype train. And if you want to frown at what Colorado is doing, listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you cannot purge on Colorado because they're 4-4, right? Because they have already exceeded expectations. Remember, we cannot iterate this enough that the odd makers, these are professional people who study this for a living and build casinos and gambling shacks based on their prognostication. They had Colorado at 2.5 games. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You got to if you don't have a brain, I understand you having a difficult time seeing Colorado at 4-4 after there was 1-11. They already surpassed expectation. They playing with house money. So if they get eligible for a bowl, what they going to say then? Oh, they didn't make the national championship. They didn't make the playoffs. How many teams make it? Only 4 teams make it. They might expand it to 6 this year. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, people got to really understand what success is. Success does not necessarily mean you have to be on top of the heap. Success is doing something that you love to do often and at peace. That's success, no matter if you're a janitor. But if you want the scientific definition of success, it's when opportunity meets preparation. So Deion got the opportunity. Colorado was prepared, and now they're playing 500 football in a Power 5 conference in the Pac-12 conference that is grueling. You look at them banging each other heads as we speak. All these top 25 teams in the Pac-12 conference. How you thought they was going to fare? That's why the odd makers had them at 2.5 games. And they already defied that. They already defeated the odd makers' low expectations of Colorado. Colorado's playing with house money. There's no downing Colorado if you have a fucking brain and your brain is working properly. You cannot down Colorado playing 500 football when there was 1-11 last season.
Yeah, that's impossible.
It's impossible.
They're building something.
It's impossible. And this is what is alarming to me. Like, who are these people that's trying to shit on Colorado? Who are they? Who are these people that's trying to hurl insults and unjustifiable epithets at Coach Prime? He already exceeded expectation. And if you didn't bet no money on it, that's your fault. You missed out. But those who betted money, if you put $1,000 that Colorado will win 3 games, where do you think you're sitting at, man? You're looking at probably $50,000 in your pocket. So where are you talking about they failed? They ain't failed. They winning. They're 500. That's average. Isn't 500 average? So if you average, that's not below. So you're not failing. You get a C grade. Please think. Stop trying to be such hate mongers. And that's what's wrong, you know? People just love to hate because they have low expectations of themselves and things that are around them. Look at the brighter side. Look at every increment of success and accept it. You know what Confucius said? The most important step in a 1,000-mile journey is what? The first step. Take the first step. Dive into necessary risk so you can get rewarded. Stop being a Debbie Downer when it's not necessary. Everybody's not depressed. And these young men are having a ball, even though they lost. They lost. But I guarantee you, this Saturday night, they ain't going to feel like no losers. They're going to go out, have fun with their friends, check out the town. You know, I mean, they're in Southern California. You think they're losing? You think they're going out with their heads in their pockets? No. They lost a game. It's only a game that's played on a 100-yard field. And after that, they're going to go out, party, catch some chicks, you know, have some fun, catch a movie, go to a club or whatever. And then they get back and get ready to go back to Boulder come Sunday. But right now, they're in Southern California, palm trees, the breeze, the beach, and everything else they want that's not in Colorado. They are not depressed. I can guarantee you that. They're not happy. They're not content, but they definitely not depressed. They would have loved to win this game. But UCLA is the top 25 team, and Colorado is not right now. So they came into this game as underdogs. And underdogs don't win every single game. That's only in the movies, like Rudy. That's for Hollywood. In real life, underdogs don't win every time. But I'm going to tell you, these underdogs won 4 games, and they're at 500. They're not below 500. So they're not losers. And if you think they are losers, then maybe the loser is the reflection you see in the mirror. Shout out to Coach Prime. Shout out to Colorado. Shout out to everybody rocking with college football this season.
Man, that's facts, man. Anybody rocking with Colorado, they had high hopes. I still don't think it's over. But I just want to let everybody know that the Buffaloes are building something. You know, so this is a part of the build.
And you know what's like? I don't mean to cut you, but check this out. Not only is Colorado building, we here at Flight Sports TV is building as well. So please hit that like button hit the subscribe button. If you have yet to hit the subscribe button and you new, welcome aboard. You stumbled into the right place. Hit the subscribe button. And also, to complete the third phase, hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. And we want to thank Flight for welcoming us into his space and inviting us to this extravaganza. Hit that like button and show you appreciate your own engagement.
Yeah. No, that's facts. And definitely support Flight Sports TV. Support us in the Cash App, the PayPal, the Super Chat. All your support goes a great way, man. I want to thank you all. But like I said, with this Buffalo stuff is a crazy situation. People are already saying it's over. There's this and that. Salute to all y'all in the chat, whether it's good, bad. That's one thing that the Colorado Buffaloes abstract from everybody. A lot of emotion, whether it's good or bad, everybody has some form of reaction. And Deion Sanders is still, one of the faces of sports media right now. Wherever he goes, the media, the cameras, the pens, the papers, they follow, so it's up to him at the end of the day to roll up his sleeves and to prove that he is an elite coach. Because a lot of people are directing at him. A lot of people thought that he was the best coach in college football. But for game one of this season, people identified Coach Prime Deion Sanders as the best coach in college football. And now, today, I don't think people are moving in that direction. I think all of the people who were upset when his name was being praised to the high heavens, now they coming to pounce on him. But, that's going to be the theme of the Buffaloes all season long. Let's just see what happens, man. And they're going to continue to add elite players. As you can see, they continue to do that. Coach Prime Deion Sanders continues to add years in the future they're building. So I just want to let everybody know that just because they were never going to probably win the national title in the first season. I think that's what everybody probably thought. But they are building. And I think next season they're going to be stronger, better than ever. A lot of guys that you think are their adversaries, some of them will be gone, and it'll be a lot more camaraderie with the Buffaloes. Coach Prime and the players should be a lot more comfortable. And I expect that to go a long way. So let's just see how it happens. I don't want to jump too far. I don't want to wreck this season. Let's see what happens. Roland says, dude, you in last place in the Pac-12, and your next game is against number 11 Oregon State, who beat the brakes off of UCLA. Oregon State about to beat the brakes off Colorado next week. Dex, do you think they're going to beat the brakes? It don't really matter how the hell they beat them. A
loss is a loss. It doesn't really matter. You're right. A loss is a loss. But let me share something with him. He's mistaken, first of all. Colorado is not in last place in the Pac-12. That belongs to Stanford, the team that came back to beat Colorado 2 weeks ago. And it doesn't matter how this season ends. We listen, I know you probably didn't hear the first portion of the stream, but we shared that it doesn't matter how the season ends. They exceeded expectation already. They playing with house money. And what Colorado has done, or Coach Prime has done was brought a high visibility to Boulder, Colorado. And if you're not familiar how this works in college football, the FBS, it's all about visibility. So if you are the high profile school, that's where people want to go, especially with the NIL deals, name, image, and likeness. That's all about visibility. It's all about sponsorship. It's all about occurring new financial gain. And the only how you're going to do that is have eyes on you as you participate and demonstrate out there on that tundra. So if Colorado is getting millions and millions and millions of people to watch their games, players are going to come. And this is why the Nick Sabans, the Dabo Sweetneys, and all these other coaches are enraged that Coach Prime didn't pay his dues, but yet he's getting the visibility. He's getting the attention. And if you get the attention and the visibility, that's where top players want to come. Look at what's happening with Shiloh Sanders. Look at what's happening with Shiloh Sanders. Shiloh Sanders is the number one prolific and profitable player or athlete in the FBS. And he's playing for a team that was 1-11 the previous season. And now they are breaking records for the market share of the Nielsen ratings. This is what it's all about. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It ain't no losing. They're playing with house money. He already exceeded expectation. And look at his recruiting class coming up. He's going to have to turn down people because it's not enough room on the roster for all the recruits that's going to want to come here. And Sador will still be here next season. And so that visibility won't shrink. It's going to increase. Because now Shador has 1 year under his belt playing with the elite competition of the FBS. Travis will be healthy again. Silo will have 1 more year under his belt. Trevor will be back. Michael Harrison, look what he's doing. He's going to be probably one of the top tight ends come next season. You watch and see. And then don't even mention Xavier, Jimmy. A lot of these players are coming back. Omarion. A lot of them are cool. A lot of them are coming back. I'm telling you. So the visibility is going to be at an all-time high. Colorado is already knocking teams off of nationally televised games. They are supplanting some of the top teams. Washington is a top 5 team. They already supplanted Washington for a national televised game. A top 5 team, the Washington Huskies. So I'm telling you, it's just so much money involved in this. You got to see past the bullshit. And we ain't just praising no Coach Prime. We're saying that this is opportunities for young black men who wants to play college football. If you come to Colorado, if you come play at Folsom Field, you're going to benefit. And if you got some skills, your NIL deal is going to be off the Richter scale. And this is what Coach Prime is trying to espouse to those who are dissatisfied where they're at. I ain't hard to find. What do you think that means? He ain't talking to you haters. He's talking to new and improved talent. When they watch Colorado and they say, damn, man, I could be in there. I could take his position. Man, that dude suck. I'm just talking how kids talk. I'm not saying he suck. Oh, that dude suck. Man, I can get to the court. Man, look at how you doing. You know what I'm saying? So if I come there and Prime accept me and give me the fair shot of taking someone's position, it's on and cracking. And that's what a lot of these other established coaches don't like. That Prime hasn't paid his dues and he's getting all these players who wants to play for him, and not only play for him and get his information, wisdom and advice, but also have an opportunity for newfound wealth while in college. Like,
yes, absolutely. We got Nico Savage rolled in the building. What's the deal, Nico?
Man, I had the displeasure of watching that disgusting game in person, and I can't even really fault anybody this game except the offensive line, which has been a problem.
So you was live in Pasadena.
Yeah, I had it all planned. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be on flight. I'm gonna show off some of the sights and the scenes. Nigga, I had no service at all, literally, until like getting at least a few miles from UCLA, or not UCLA, but Pasadena and Rose Bowl. That was crazy. But one thing I did want to say is I do got some footage, which I will be putting together, speaking over here and there. But, just from the up close and personal look, um, it's not much you can do with a line like that. We say Deion ain't hard to find. We need to find some damn linemen. That's what we need to be looking for. The skill guys ain't the issue. All the skill guys have some level of talent that it's kind of like you can find it on every team. Skill guys are very replaceable. Offensive linemen are not, which is why I be wanting people when they talk to me about football to understand. I'm speaking from a lineman perspective. That is the most important thing on your team, honestly. Skill guys are everywhere. It's a bunch of you 5'7" niggas on earth that can run fast. 6 foot or 5'10". What's not common is a 6'5", 320-pound, 310-pound earth mover that can play football at a high level. And we're seeing that right now. And just watching Shador run for his life all game, I'm starting to think his linemen don't even like him. In all honesty, I started to have that feeling. Like, does his line like him? Why are they not trying to die for this dude right now? He's running for his life. I get it. UCLA's defense is solid, but holy, it was an embarrassing performance. I also don't like the rotations, and this is where I'm gonna call out whoever's putting the rotations together. I don't think that they're that intelligent. They have a few standout players for Colorado. And I'm talking about talent-wise that just are not playing football for them, and it makes no sense. There's no reason Alton McCaskill should not be starting for Colorado. There's no reason Alton McCaskill should be getting 1 to 2 carries at Colorado after coming off a freshman season, averaging 5 yards a carry. Well, he had 15 touchdowns, something crazy, almost 1,000 yards as a freshman. And he's coming here and he's sitting on the bench behind Anthony Hankerson and Dylan Edwards, who have no ability to run the ball on the inside. They're very fast. They're shifty. They can do something with the ball in their hands with space. But most teams are prepared for the way that they run the football. They have no versatility. They don't have the it factor yet. Dylan still has time. Hankerson, I think, is a senior or a junior, so he's kind of on the last little. He got to get a little footage out there for teams. But as far as the guy who's elite, has that one step, that 1 foot cut, the ability to get upfield, speed, make moves. Alton McCaskill is sitting on the bench all game, and it doesn't make sense to me. The defense played well though. We got to give him Nate Flowers, caused a few turnovers. Shiloh unfortunately got ejected for a targeting call. That was actually a big loss that people didn't seem to talk about while I was in the stadium. Once he got ejected, nobody even spoke about him for the rest of the game. I'm talking about the Colorado guy specifically. Nobody even talked about the fact that Shiloh is not even playing. He had 2 big hits. One he caused a fumble, headache game CEO, big 2-1. And then the second play, basically the same type action, and they called targeting, ejected him from the game. But overall, I would say UCLA is a better team. That's what it looks like when you have had a team that you've put together and have continuity with the way that you do things within a university. Chip Kelly has been there for a while. And I do want to say there's no excuses. I just think that people need to stop having such a bravado and beating their chest for beating a newly assembled team and a freshly entered what conference will I say? Because they ain't gonna be Pac-12 for long. I'll just say a high level football.
Ohio State Big Ten.
Yeah, I'll just say a high level football conference coming straight from HBCU. So the people that are talking about excuses and disliking the progress they've made, it just doesn't make sense. This is a work of art if you really think about it. I've never seen Colorado fans in my entire life, ever. I'm 28. And my consciousness probably extends back to being around 4. I've never seen a Colorado fan, ever. And I've seen the most Colorado fans I've ever seen in my life today. They have more wins than they had last year on a new regime with shaky play calling, shaky defense. Everything is inconsistent at best. And they still find a way to succeed, still find a way to make things entertaining. And it literally just came down to line play. Shiloh Sanders had nowhere to go with the football. They can't run the ball. They was negative -7 yards for the longest. They couldn't stop number 25 either. I forgot his name, but I was just in there baffled, like, bro, he keep breaking the first tackle every time. And UCLA tried to give him the game. If you want to be real, for the guys that watched the game, UCLA was actually doing some dumb ass shit. You want to be 100 with you. They was doing plays near the goal line instead of just handing the ball off to the running back. They could have made easy interceptions for Colorado. It could have been easy stops. Colorado capitalized until they decided to run the ball again. But overall, I would say stay tuned for some of the clips I share, some of the commentary once I look over it again. Because right now I'm sharing a bit of trauma, and it's not the best of the moments. I don't think I'll ever be able to see Colorado here again. In LA type shit. So for my first experience to be that embarrassment, it's not a good feeling right now. But overall, I would say solid game for both teams. Shout out to UCLA, they got the dub, but literally just because Colorado's line is trash.
You're talking about the offensive line, right? Or both?
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say this: the defensive line, they play with high energy, but they're not that talented. I was watching the interior play. The two defensive tackles are probably the best guys on the offensive line because when you run up the middle, you don't get much. They know how to stop a hole, but the outside contain is non-existent. You run UCLA ran the ball to the outside probably about 8 times and averaged about 10 yards a carry. The defensive ends are pretty shitty. The linebackers are all right, but the defense did okay. It's not much you can do when your offense is unable to do anything. They played their ass off, and the offense gave them nothing. And they gave them nothing because of the line.
So overall, the atmosphere in the building was pretty crazy at the Rose Bowl. What you would say?
Well, yeah, mainly because UCLA was whooping ass. That's why. There was a couple people upset at some of the play calling, but overall, it wasn't much of a. If you look at the film again, it's just going to be a bunch of Shiloh Sanders running for his life. It's barely a game at that point. His Pee Wee offensive lineman provided no time. And I do want to respond. It says, yo, dude, I'm 50 years old. Colorado has some great championship teams in the 90s. Young dudes don't know anything but think you know everything. I don't know how he got that from me saying I've never seen a Colorado fan. But being in Los Angeles, I can tell you I've never seen a Colorado fan until today. So I thank you guys for sharing your opinions. But Colorado is not a very popular team. It never has been.
But out of nowhere, it's all over the place.
Yes. Well, we got to stop acting like Colorado didn't blow up like 9 months ago. Or 10 now. Not one person that is supporting Colorado now that's probably not of let's be honest, an ice king or an ice queen give a shit about Colorado.
Sure. So speaking of that targeting call by Shiloh, you was there live. Well, what did you see when you was there on that play?
That was a good hit. Shiloh's a very, how can I say, because he's not really a form tackler, but he's a disciplined tackler because he goes for the big hit. A lot of players that go for big hits usually do some reckless shit with it, but Shiloh kind of has a technique to where if you want to lay a big hit, I was about to say lay the wood, but if you want to lay a big hit, he got a technique to where he leads with his shoulder, and it's usually never an issue with it. That's how he was able to get the fumble on the first play. Led with his shoulder, hit dude right in the middle of his chest, popped the ball free, and the same thing happened. It just happened before the ball was able to be secured by the receiver. So it's almost like an early hit type thing, and they just called it targeting, I guess, because he was defenseless going for the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he did low.
Oh wait, sorry, not to interrupt. Jimmy Horn Jr. was fucking trash today. I just wanted to say that.
That surprised you?
That just reminded me. Let me see who said that. Shout out to Mark Mara. You just reminded me. Jimmy Horn Jr. just, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's had an up and down season. But when he has games that are like inconsistent, I don't know what to think about. It's like, why the hell are you this trash today? What happened? What transpired between this game and last game? I know they had a bye week, but I don't know. He was trash today. Um, Xavier Weaver was okay. I don't think he should be on punt return or kick return though. He doesn't have that it factor on the return team. He has the it factor with the ball in his hands as a receiver, but not as a return man. I'd rather give that to Dylan or somebody like that. And Travis Hunter, shit, what did he do today? I mean, I get it. Shedeur didn't have no time, but I say that with defense also. UCLA kind of just did whatever they wanted to do.
Oh, Travis Hunter got the 2 interceptions. I mean, outside of that, it was nothing.
Yeah, well, I'll say that he's an instinctive guy, so he's gonna get like. I'll compare him to Marcus Peters. It's kind of like we used to watch Marcus Peters get these interceptions, and he still get cut or traded by teams. I wouldn't say cut, but traded. He has kind of like that. He'll play a risky, potentially get burnt under the receiver type defense to where he gets interceptions, but it wasn't 100% impactful because they still made a lot of catches and they still made a lot of plays that put themselves in positions to score. And I think that all boils down to the offense being unproductive.
Thank you.
Overall,
there you go.
I mean, yeah,
besides that, because anytime you get a turnover, that's impactful.
Yeah, they didn't capitalize at all. But I expect, when I think of Travis Hunter, I think of that side of the field not existing anymore. And that hasn't been the case. So I would look at him like he got 2 interceptions and a bunch of catches on him also.
Travis was definitely, did his thing. Obviously, he got to step it up the next game, the whole team. But it is what it is.
Oh, I do want to say this. Oh, my fault.
Travis is still he's still in rehab stage. I mean, let's be honest. He's just trying to salvage the season the best he can because him being out there is a deterrent to the offense and it gives the defensive coordinator another aspect to scheme when you have a threat like Travis on the field. Now he got 2 interceptions. So when they play Oregon State, they're going to see that. And then they might be hesitant of trying to throw the ball his way. So I can't even pronounce the name of the Oregon State quarterback, but he's pretty good. But they're playing up there in Corvallis, so it's a possibility that the Oregon State Beavers might try to scheme away from Travis Hunter.
Nico, could you see a blowout in that Oregon State game?
That is, you know what? Colorado is so inconsistent and wishy-washy that it's hard to determine how any game is going to go. Right. That's what I've learned so far. But I can't predict.
But I don't mean to cut you off, but is the only way they're going to win is some Herculean effort by Shedeur?
Oh, Shedeur is the only chance they have at winning anything. Because
that's my concern, but go ahead.
I do want to say this, and I hope Sky can hear this at some point in time. Once upon a time, he was telling me that Deion Sanders has the offense tailored to Shedeur. And sometimes I don't want to be able to say that that's the case, but when you don't run the ball at all, it makes me feel like, what's really going on here? Like, we don't even have an offense that a run game could succeed in because they only have a few run plays. It's always an inside handoff up the middle. Other than that, what are they doing? It's just a pass play. And at some point in time, we have to add, some nuance to the offense because every team understands if it's not a pass play, they're handing the ball up the middle, and their running backs aren't talented enough to make that a dangerous play. Dylan Edwards, His best plays against TCU came from being in space and able to get his speed going before everybody else goes. And that caught everybody off guard. You know what I'm saying? When you play fast guys, you kind of run a bit different because you understand you got to already be ready to counteract their speed. You know, he's not one of those guys to where if he catches the ball, you're worried about his power. So you only literally worried about running when it comes to Dylan Edwards being on the field. He's not hard to bring down. He's 5'9", 165 or 5'7". He eventually will be much bigger than that. But right now, it's just no reason for him to be on the field. Anthony Hankerson, he's a talented physical specimen, but he has no vision. It's beyond me why the hell he's still starting or getting this many carries. Why is Savion Wilkerson not playing? Why is Alton McCaskill not playing? Shiloh Sanders has nothing to he has nothing to go off of to make his game better. With no run, you really just expect Shiloh Sanders to drop back and win you a game with a boo-boo booty cheeks offensive line? How is that possible? Bro has no time. Literally, we watched him run all game away from 3-4 guys, and it wasn't even a blitz. That's the worst part. It wasn't even a blitz. They put the most 5 men out there.
Yeah, we've been talking about that ad nauseum. I mean, Colorado rushing, they only rushed 24 times tonight, and they only gained 25 yards. So they only average 1 yard per carry. So that rush game is very malnourished. And when you look across the aisle, 45 carries for the UCLA Bruins for 218 yards, and plus they had the lead practically all game. The only time Colorado had the lead was 6-0, right? Yes. That was erased. That was erased with one drive, and it was 7-6. But despite
then it was 9-7.
9-7, right? Despite all that, Nico, tell us about the atmosphere at the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, with Colorado coming to town.
It was electric. It was a bunch of Shiloh Sanders jerseys, Travis Hunter jerseys. Like I said, more Colorado fans than I could have ever imagined seeing in my entire life. Just that game. And I do kind of have a biased experience because, you know, I'm much taller than everybody. So it was kind of I was 50-50. My knees was in somebody's back the whole time. So it was uncomfortable. But overall, just seeing how people were, everybody was excited. That excitement kind of left after like midway through second quarter, though. Like once we realized, like, oh shit, they can't do shit with the ball. So they nothing to cheer about at that point. It was probably one of the worst experiences I could have ever had in person. Like if I was like waiting to see Colorado, you know, I thought I would get some type of electricity, maybe a Herculean Shiloh Sanders performance. Shiloh, you know, he was playing well. He got ejected. It was like, damn, what's left? We had a few Travis Hunter interceptions, but overall, they turned into nothing. So I'll say this: the UCLA fans was going crazy. Them niggas was jumping, but Colorado fans was
UCLA, fight. That's all you hear all doggone game, huh? UCLA, fight.
Yeah, they was happy as hell. The Colorado fans, they was talking they junk early.
Is that one of their chants?
Yeah, they got the little bear come out there, and he holds the little signs and be going, U-C-L-A, U-C-L-A, fight. And that crowd be going crazy over that little shit, man. I'll be like, wow.
Deservingly today. You know what? I'll say this. What I've noticed is, I'll pull in there or something since this nigga don't seem to understand. My fault, trying to park. But one thing I realized is people were happy to see the Bucks lose. It's Buffs. I'm gonna say Buffaloes lose just because of Deion Sanders. That's
That's
something
the
I've noticed so
controversy. You
far.
want that. You want that type of
Let's
controversy. If
discuss.
you are a media
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
maniac, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you want both sides of the aisle to be present every single time Colorado plays. When you have a controversial figure like that, just like Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, you know what I'm saying? When you have these controversial figures, the Kobe Bryants of the world, the Michael Jordans of the world, LeBron James currently, you want both aisles to be present when you're putting out there for the world to see if you're a media conglomerate, because that's where you're getting your money.
Yeah, man. Amazing.
My fault.
No, you good. I just think it's disgusting, like you said. You said that you was in the building, you seeing people thoroughly excited in the news that Colorado lost. I mean, I think that's pretty disgusting. But
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. I think it comes with the territory. I think we got to get out of that notion. I mean, it is what it is being a part of the Buffaloes. This kind of shit comes with it.
But
Seen
Flight,
one
that's
dude.
that's the spirit of competition, especially at a sporting event. You want the pros and the cons. You want the fours and you want the antis. You know what I'm saying? You want the yays and the nays. Because long as you can get them all together at one site, then you got all the money from both sides.
I was
That's
gonna
what
say I seen somebody say the honeymoon phase is over, and I get that. Maybe for some people, but anybody that has any type of like understanding of football and building, we know it wasn't gonna be great this year. Of course, it started off and we were like, oh shit, they could win every game. You know, it felt like that. But then reality sank in. You know what I'm saying? Some of these programs are showing you they established.
I don't think reality set in. I just think you got sober.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say sober, because they showed us something to really, I'll say have our faith in, which was they had the electricity, um, everybody on the skilled. I'll say the first game was the best they looked as a team. It was no inconsistencies. They did what they had to do. They made plays, and since then it's just been a bunch of bullshit.
Well, I mean, that's the nature of sports. You know what I mean? You're going to have those ebbs and flows, high and lows, as you journey through the vicissitudes of the excitement. But that's all it should be. I mean, you shouldn't be too emotionally invested unless you're putting a wager down. Other than that, it just should be total celebratory.
You know why I felt like that? Because you know I know that it would be better to watch it on TV, but I was like, I want to support. I'm sitting here in my damn Colorado shirt, and I'm in the stands, and I'm in pain, obviously, because knees and shin bones is in a chair and someone's back, and I had to also wait through an entire ass whooping because I'm in the middle of the aisle. I'm not finna keep getting up and going out, putting booty on people as you go by and not trying to do that. So I sat there, waited, and took all the pain that it comes with watching what I just watched. It was embarrassing. And I would honestly say it was a waste of time. I regret my experience. And this is me being honest.
Wow, that's crazy.
Those are good seats.
Well, you had that Colorado shirt. Maybe if you didn't have the Colorado shirt, it might have been a little different. But by you exposing yourself as a Colorado fan,
I should have just went ahead and went for UCLA. I don't know why I decided to support Colorado, huh? Got their ass whooped. Bro, and UCLA didn't even play well. Like, do we realize that?
They didn't.
UCLA literally gave them every chance to win, and they just couldn't do nothing with it. They was like, we just going to keep sending 4 linemen and watch them beat the shit out of your offensive line. No double team blocks, no sliding. Yeah, absolutely embarrassing. Yeah, that's man.
It was like being at the IHOP, seeing so many pancakes.
And I wanted to say, UCLA or every team that plays Colorado has a lot of time to pass the damn football. That's what I noticed. There is no pass rush. They don't blitz, and I think you have to blitz as a team that has no pressure. Like your front four is not getting it done. You got to blitz every other play. You give any quarterback time, they're gonna make something happen.
That defensive line is emaciating. There's no skin on their bones, and it shows. It rears its ugly head a lot throughout the game. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes it hard. Like I was saying earlier, for the Colorado secondary, because they can't run with these little scampering rabbits for more than 5 to 7 seconds. You know, you got to put pressure.
Yeah.
You got to let that quarterback get that ball out by 3 seconds. Anything past 3 seconds, you playing with fire.
How much time Shador had?
2. Huck 1, Huck 2, hike. Oh my God, bro!
Literally, it was like it was almost like it was a script. And I'm saying like a cartoon or like a TV show. Like, we've never seen an offensive line this bad at the collegiate level. Like, come on now.
Coyote chasing the what you call that? The road runner. It was Coyote chasing the road runner.
All right, I do want to let y'all know I'm on 1%. I'm gonna go in the house and charge my phone.
All right, for sure.
So if y'all still going, I'll be back. Yeah,
right.
But I'm on 1%. My shit finna die on y'all.
No, you good.
All right, thank you. I appreciate y'all, man.
We appreciate you, man, giving us that live coverage. You know,
It gave me something to smile about through the ass, the uncomfortable
drop
ass.
your link, drop your link to your channel in the chat so people can check out the updates that you're gonna be bringing all night tomorrow, all that shit.
All right, let me do that real quick.
Do that.
Yeah, thank you, Nico Savage, for coming through, giving us that live update, boots on the ground in Pasadena, California, and sharing with us his experience, good, bad, and indifferent. Please hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. And the voice you heard previous to mine was Nico Savage. That is his YouTube channel, Nico Savage. And once again, we welcome you to Flight Sports TV. Thank you for being here amongst us, because you could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to be here at Flight Sports TV, and you are definitely appreciated. Once again, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button so the stream can trend in the algorithm of YouTube landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you, Nico. Salute to all y'all in the chat. Like I said, everybody's still pumped up from all of this Coach Prime, Deion Sanders madness. Obviously, this is going to be going on for days in and days out. It's going to be interesting to hear some of the fallout from this game. You don't want to miss any news or updates, so make sure you subscribe as we bring it to you. But nonetheless, this was a disgusting, situation. Obviously, they got to rectify the lines, and I think that the Buffaloes will do it, but it may not happen as soon as we like. The Buffaloes are building. I just want to contend. This is going to be my echoing statement tonight because everybody expected the Buffaloes to be a ready-made situation, but they're building. So clearly, if you look at before Deion got here, they are building in the right direction. So all they got to do is rectify some things. Also, you got to look at maybe two to three losses. I may even include this one, but I will really say the Stanford and the USC losses, play here, play there could have went in a different direction. We could be sitting here having a whole another conversation. So this thing, even though the losses are looking like a stockpiling, well, it is stockpiling, but some of this shit could have went in a different direction. And for Coach Prime leaving Jackson State, Shador and company leaving Jackson State to come here, to where the talent was going to be immense, and they came out the way they did, I think they deserve major credit. And the season is not over, and we will be monitoring the situation very, very closely. Dex, any final thoughts on this post-game report that the people might need to hear?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to share a brief commentary.
Yeah.
for people that might be a little upset right now, okay, I understand it's deserving. Go ahead and purge, get it out of your system, and get ready for next weekend where Colorado will go up to Oregon, Corvallis to be exact, and play the Oregon State Beavers, who are a one-loss team, and I think they're like third in the Pac-12 or something to that nature. So that's another momentous engagement the Colorado Buffaloes will have to face. And don't be so overwhelmed and dejected based on some of these losses, because Colorado is not expected, the Buffaloes is not expected to have instantaneous success. These are building blocks. These are learning episodes for these players who most likely will be here next season. Some probably will go into the transfer portal and get on other teams because new and improved talent is coming to the Colorado Buffaloes, and some of these players don't want to compete for those jobs. So just keep in mind that it wasn't meant to be instantaneous success, even though Colorado did have some surprisingly early success going 3-0 in the FBS. Let's just support the best way we can. And if you anti-Colorado Buffaloes, cool, we welcome you too. You know, Flight is the voice of the voiceless. So whatever you want to espouse, as long as it's within the parameters of decency, you're more than welcome. And you won't be hindered, you won't be restricted, and you definitely won't be blocked. We welcome that. This is not a cult. We are meritocracy. You follow what I'm saying? So we don't play those only have to believe what I believe, say what I say, and follow the leader type BS. And we know bullshit ain't nothing but chewed up grass. But thank you once again for envelop yourself into the Flight Sports TV space, and we definitely appreciate you. Salute. I want you guys to have success and have longevity in all your positive endeavors.
Yeah, absolutely. Like again, make sure you hit the like button. If you knew you stumbled to the right place, most definitely hit that subscribe button. It's Flight Sports TV. You already know what it is. We got an array of content around here. Shout out to everybody. Peace and love. It's Flight Sports.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.